Saturday afternoon, Calgarians took to the streets downtown outside Bankers Hall to make their voices heard. Adam El-Kastawi and Haley McLeod bring us that story, and immediately following, NUTV's producer Justin Harjoui-Rogo sits down with Matt Shindruk, an active participant in the Occupy Calgary events.
Power to the people! Power to the people!
October 15th, 2011 marked the beginning of Occupy Calgary, a movement launched in solidarity with the Wall Street protests against corporations and financial institutions in the U.S. The movement's promotional material has been largely centered around the idea that 1% of the population owns most of the world's resources. Nicole Doré, university student, explains.
We are the other 99%, and through the democratic process, we feel like somehow our voices have become lost, that it isn't so much a democratic process anymore. So you have this giant mix of all people, all sorts of demographics, coming together and trying to make a voice heard, a single unified voice.
But how unified is the message really? Many of the protesters had very different reasons for being downtown at Bankers Hall as part of the movement.
Solidarity is what first inspired this movement. I think everybody here is standing up for something that they feel is wrong with Canada. Personally, I have a list of 31 organizations and institutions that Harper has almost completely cut funding to surrounding women's issues, women's housing, women's poverty. We're seeing the social services in Canada completely cut out.
I think that equality should be put above all else. Everybody should have a say, especially if we claim that we live in a democracy. These problems, what these people are saying, it should be heard. This stuff should be discussed, but it's not. We don't have a say.
You privatize water, right? And back in the 60s, you would never think that you would buy water, right? But nowadays, they've made that a profitable thing, right? It's all over the board. They basically take something and that is abundance, and they make it false scarcity so that you have to buy it, right?
And yet, despite these mixed messages, one of the participants felt there was something to be said for unity and inclusiveness.
We have work to do. As long as there's war overseas, we have work to do. We go together, we go down together. If the economy collapses, we go down together, especially in North America where we have such abundance.
For NUTV, I'm Haley McLeod.
Matt Shindruk joins me in the studio now. He's an activist, a community activist, and he's been active as a participant in the Occupy Calgary movement. He's been camping out down at Olympic Plaza as well. Matt, thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So Matt, the media estimates and overall estimates for the turnout on Saturday when these events kicked off was anywhere between 400 to 1,000 at any given time. What are your thoughts on the turnout in what's generally described as a politically apathetic city?
You know what, it's actually, we were really surprised at the turnout. We were really happy with the turnout. Our estimates were, anywhere from 600 to 1,000. So, I mean, any given interval, obviously it varied throughout the day, but no, I mean, considering Calgary and its political views and sort of someone consider isolation to the global recession and whatnot, the turnout was pretty substantial, I would say.
Okay, now one of the general observations to come out of it, whether it be media or casual passersby, was that while there was a palpable sense of anger and frustration, the message was mixed. Some people talked about women's issues, Aboriginal issues, the commodification of water, the stock market. Is it important to, or how do you create a salient message out of these protests, out of this movement, to offer up to either the public or whoever you're trying to address?
Sure. I mean, fundamentally, the occupation itself is our stance. The occupation itself is what we stand for, and the idea that together we can, through dialogue and through people of all different classes within the area of Calgary, engaging in dialogue and essentially coming up with reasons as to why we are occupying and coming up with supposed demands as we keep hearing, right? That's an ongoing process, obviously, and that's going to continue on as we engage in our general assemblies, which we have twice a day, every day, and we sort of sift through all the issues which are concerning all citizens of Calgary, and then we get an idea of what the real concerns are.
So are you able to address all the gamut of them in some manner with these little groups, little committees?
Obviously, that's difficult. I mean, one of the principles of the movement is consensus democracy. That's really one of the focal points, and that really advocates for every citizen to be heard, regardless of social status.
Now, the themes come up in a subtle way. Dialogue with, demands for. Who are you really trying to address when you say you want to have a dialogue with people and a list of demands? Who is that ultimately aimed at? Is there a group? Is it government?
I would say it's aimed at the general public, because fundamentally the general public is the majority of the population of this earth, right? If we come together as the majority, fundamentally government will be irrelevant. We will be government. We will govern ourselves, essentially.
Well, that's in the event that the numbers grow. How do you give it traction? How do you either give it a central voice or address the thousands who are not present as to say, well, this is what we're doing and this is really for you, or because there are a lot of people still out there, as you know, who pass by and just don't like what they see, or else are not active participants.
I hear you. Well, I mean, in terms of, you know, gaining momentum or continual momentum, I'd like to point out that the numbers have doubled since Saturday, and will continue to double until we, you know, feel as though, well, I mean, I shouldn't even give it an actual definite end point or whatnot, but to address as to how we will continue the momentum, we will continue with our General Assembly twice a day, every day, which will target planning events and actions to educate the public, to create that momentum, right? And really, I think that's one of the fundamentals is educating the public within this apathetic city, as you put it.
Okay. Well, we have a common enemy. It's time. It's pulled the rug from under us. I really want to get this last thought, if you can give it briefly and concisely. The camp out, how long does it go till the attrition and the cold takes you guys out of Olympic Plaza, or there's a confrontation with police, or how long does that go?
You know what? As I said, we've doubled since Saturday. We will double again, and we will double again. And fundamentally, it's a call out to all citizens who are concerned with the status quo to be part of history and to occupy and be counted.
All right. Well, that's the time we have. Matt, thanks for being here. Come back again.
Thank you very much.
That was Matt Shindruk, community activist, active participant in the ongoing Occupy Calgary events. And we'll be back with more Full Frontal Live right after this.